Okay. I'm going to try to show you centering a couple different ways. There's one way that I'm definitely most comfortable with, but there's another way that a lot of people do. So I'll try to give you a couple different views of that, and then I'll make a pot. All right. You want to be low down. You want to have your elbows braced. Basically, not really on your knees, but you want to have them on something where your arms will be stable. All right, this is how I center. I like to hold a small sponge in my hand. It needs to be pretty full of water. I use this left hand I push with the heel of my hand as the clay's coming around towards the heel of my hand. And then this hand goes on top with the sponge. So you'll get your clay wet. We're gonna go all the way high speed, as fast as you can. So the pedal's gonna be all the way down. You can try it slower at first, but that speed is what's gonna center your clay, along with the pressure of both hands. Okay, so I've got downward pressure and I've got forward pressure. Make a little cake. I definitely did not center that fast the first time I ever centered, so do not despair. You will get it. All right, so that's how I do it. I'm just squeezing the sponge to release water onto the clay while I push down pretty much equally with both hands. Well, pushing equally with both hands, down and forward. And these fingers are really not doing anything. You want to keep these out. If it's easier, just keep them out, so that you don't get them stuck in there at first, then do that. Just do like that. And see how this is rubbing against the heel of my hand. So here, I'll get it off center again just for fun. Here we go. Okay, let's see if I can get this. Okay, I'm not pushing very hard at first. I'm just kind of getting it to where it's all in the middle so that it can be centered perfectly. Okay. Then I slowly sped up through that. Alright. It's in the middle. And you might notice, I don't know if you're working with bats or not, these can be kind of wiggly, and I have this problem and I haven't solved it yet. These little pins, the bat pins, maybe I just need to get a nut on the other end of that and screw it tight, but it's, anyway, these wiggle, and then where you've got it attached, that wiggles just a little bit. So if that's frustrating to you, and of course I just cleaned up my wheel, so I don't have any extra, but usually I have like a little extra clay in here that's a little bit stiff, not too soft, and I'll kind of like smash that on there, and then I'll put the bat on again, and then it helps it not to do this so much. So this can be frustrating when you're starting out. It's frustrating to me now, and I've been doing this for many years. But you can kind of ignore it, because basically everything will still be in the middle of the wheel. If you can ignore it, then you might be able to learn. you might find it easier to learn other stuff if you can ignore stuff like that. Okay, let's see. So I got my clay centered. I will try to throw in another view of this later. Right now I'm gonna do this thing called coning up, and now I can't remember. Coning up and smashing down basically is what it does. And some people think this is very important and some people don't, but it's kind of fun. Okay, so I've got my clay centered. I'm now gonna, this might be a good exercise. I'm now going to switch which hand is doing more work. So right now I'm gonna push with my left hand with the heel of my hand, and kind of let this just control the top. So my right hand's going to control the top, and I'm pushing it up into a cone, and the right hand is just there to make sure it doesn't get out of control. Excuse me. And then I'm switching, doing the opposite, pushing down with my right hand and just making sure that the sides don't get out of control with my left hand. So now I'm back in the center. I'll do that again. That wasn't very extreme, but it kind of shows you. This is supposed to compress the clay more so that you will have a better final product. There is debate whether that actually works or not, but it's a good exercise. And I'm just keeping my sponge wet and squeezing the whole time. Once it starts to get dry, you'll feel it, and it'll feel like you start to lose control or it starts to stick. You definitely want more water then. Okay, so I'm making a mug, which is just going to be a simple cylinder shape. When you start off with something, you want to basically have your lump of clay be kind of represent the final shape that you're going to have. Now I'm on full speed. So I'm going to have a little cylinder. So I'm making it about, I don't know, maybe a little bit thicker than the final cylinder will be. But it's just kind of sitting there in the shape of what the base will be like. Sorry about my talking. I'm having a hard time finding my words. All right, I usually do this. I don't know why. Kind of. When you have a lot of clay down at the bottom, that can kind of mess you up sometimes. So I like to just kind of undercut it here with my finger. And I'm not always watching myself. I'm not watching what I'm doing. So I'm going to say this, and it might not be true, but in principle, you should be always bracing whatever you're doing. Like, you shouldn't be sticking your finger out and doing something with just this finger, because it's going to like wiggle. It's going to wiggle. It's going to have a hard time keeping your motion centered. So that's why I'm bracing right now. And more fingers is better. You can even use your wrist sometimes. Let's see. Okay, so when I'm doing that, I'm sort of using a lot of my fingers. Still got my arms braced on my legs. I don't know. See, check it out. Like, I'm gonna make a pot out of that. It's kind of wiggly right now. It's gonna be okay. If it gets any more wiggly than that, that's when you need to worry. But no pot is perfect. No pot is perfectly centered. The good ones are pretty good. And once you get really good, then you'll be able to mess with the rules a little bit more. Alright, so I'm going to open the center. See how I'm bracing my fingers. The middle fingers, I think this is true. I think I probably learned this a long time ago. The middle fingers are the strongest. So you're going to go with both of them together. And I'm just pressing down. I'm not at full speed. I'm about like 3/4 speed maybe. You can do full speed for this part because it's in the very center. You're literally pushing down in the very center of your wheel, and that's the place where it's safest to go fast. And that'll help to compress the bottom too. So I'm pushing down, and opening out. All right, see how it starts to wiggle? I accidentally went too fast there. All right, and it got a little dry, so I'm gonna get this back in the center in just a minute. You can see it's wobbly, but it's not, falling apart or anything. Okay, so I didn't go down as far as I wanted to go. I want about a quarter inch in the bottom of the pot to keep it nicely. There we go. Proportioned. Alright, and now I'm compressing the bottom. You might not be able to see that. I'll try to do a top view later. So I'm basically doing, I'm bracing my fingers. I think I'm using my pointer finger for this, but it's kind of moving along. These are two are moving together. And I'm just bracing. I'm going from the center, gently, not really moving very much clay. I'm at full speed almost. Not moving very much clay. I'm really just making sure that it's smooth, and I'm just going back and forth from the center to the outside on the right of the outside. And I'm trying to make the base pretty much how I want it to look. So that will be, in the case of this mug, flat and a couple inches across. And it's wiggling, but it's okay. Actually, it's annoying. But I don't have any clay to get my bat to stop moving right now. And I should have mentioned I'm working with about 1.5 pounds of clay, a little bit less right now, and it is porcelain, which is really smooth and nice. When I started out, I worked with stoneware, and depending on what your teacher has you working with, hopefully it's not like too chunky clay, rough. Porcelain is really nice and smooth, and that is nice but also hard because it's floppy. So it's nice to start with stoneware first, so you really kind of know how to manipulate it, and then to learn how to do porcelain later if you're so inclined. Alright, I've probably done this for long enough. I've been talking. Now I'm going to just kind of recenter the lip here. And I can do that by going really fast, and see, I'm going to fail right now, and you'll think I don't know what I'm doing. Sometimes a little extra.